Hello, my beautiful buds. Welcome back to my channel, Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. It's been a little while since I've done kind of a walkthrough update of my plants. And since we're nearing the end of summer, I figured now would honestly be a really good time to check in and kind of see where my plant collection is at, where I'm at as an individual, kind of catch up a little bit. And this is not like a full houseplant tour. I'm not going to look at literally every single plant because yeah, that would take absolutely forever, like an unreasonably long time. I'm mainly going to focus on the plants that either I haven't showed you guys in a long time or that have had something notable, be that good or bad. And if I'm being honest, we're kind of going to be getting into the good, the bad, and the ugly a little bit today because I think that there are some really good things happening with my plants, but it's been a long summer. It's been a very busy summer, and I have kind of neglected my plants a little bit. My plant hobby has been largely in the back burner over the course of the summer because we've had a lot going on. I've said that I feel like in pretty much every single video that I've made this summer, so I'm very sorry if that's getting redundant, but yeah, not all my plants look pretty. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna try to cover as much as I can, although the sun is actively setting right now, but let's just get into it. Okay, starting in this little corner, this area, oh my gosh, you can't really see this. So this is my Grove grow light, which I love. It's from SOLTECH. But I'm gonna turn it off maybe for the sake of this video. We'll see what the lighting's like. Is that better or worse? I don't know. I kind of was liking the warm glow that it was giving though. Hang on. There we go. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of fun. But down here, I've got plants underneath the Grove grow light, and these plants are actually doing quite well, I will say. I have this holiday cactus. I believe it's maybe an Easter cactus or a Christmas cactus. Some people have said that it's an Easter cactus, but I received it as a Christmas cactus in a plant trade. And honestly, I have to say, I don't talk about this plant super often, but it is absolutely thriving. It loves being underneath this grow light. And I'll qualify that with, if you want your Christmas cactus to bloom, it should probably be a natural light, I think is my understanding, because it needs to be aware of kind of what season it is. But for the sake of it just growing and getting some good foliage on there, it's doing so well and it's gorgeous. I got it when it was just tiny cuttings. So I honestly can't believe that it's already at this point. Like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you've grown a lot. There is new growth. It's truly, this has been such an easy, carefree plant and I've been loving it. This is another kind of fun one that I pretty much never talk about. This is my Philodendron Camposportuanum. And not too long ago, I put it on this moss pole and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I just stuck a ton of cuttings down here and I was like, it's gonna be a mess, but maybe it'll be fine. But honestly, look at this. Is this not kind of beautiful? Like, it's very nice and full. It's growing in really well. Oh, hi cat. He came to visit. It's growing in really well, and some of it is gonna be going up the pole. But I've noticed some vines have kind of naturally gone around the edge and are trying to climb up like the back of the pole, which I was not expecting at all considering this is all just plastic. But hey, I'll take it because that's really cool. I feel like it's looking pretty nice. It's growing very well. It loves the grow light. It's got like new growth all over the place. So yeah, this has also been pretty carefree and it's quite nice looking, honestly. So we'll see what it looks like as it continues to grow. This is my Hoya Rain Sand Splash. And I just wanted to point out that it has a relatively new leaf right here that looks so cute. I love it. It's like a little bit lighter than the other leaves that are older. And I don't see any more new growth aside from that. This new leaf came out maybe a month ago, so it's been a while, but I don't think I've talked about it since the leaf came out. So here we go. This is another plant that I put on a pole this summer, I believe. It's my Philodendron Fuzzy Petiole. And you know, for a while there, it was doing quite well. I mean, these leaves that it put out look pretty nice. And I think it likes being under the grow light, although it is pretty bleached. So honestly, I think that it maybe needs a little bit less light, and it has started putting off growth up top here that's pretty small. See that? And like, it's not looking great. Part of that's my fault because I have not been keeping up with keeping the pole nice and moist with this one in particular. Every time I go around to moisten my poles, I tend to miss this one for some reason. I miss my Campo Sportuanum too, but that one is doing fine regardless. But this one I think is a little bit more picky maybe. So I think I need to pay more attention to this one, maybe give it a new spot. It does have new growth, like it's growing. I mean, this leaf in particular looks kind of promising. Can you even see that? Right there, yep. This leaf looks kind of promising. Like, it looks like it'll be a little bit bigger, but this growth right here is super scraggly and just a complete mess. So, hold on, I gotta sneeze. I've been sneezing a lot the last few days. I hope I'm not getting sick. Yeah, so like, this is fine, but not doing as well as I want it to be doing. And then up here, we've got 4 more plants. This is my Syngonium Confetti Tricolor. And honestly, all I have to say about this one is just that it's doing a lot better than I expected it to be doing. Because I feel like for the longest time, it did not look cute at all. But right now, it's actually been looking kind of nice. Like, there's some nice leaves going on here. This is definitely not my favorite plant ever. I'm just not as big on most Syngonium nowadays, but I do think it's still pretty. All right, this one's a sad one, this one's an ugly one, and this one I'm really bummed about. But maybe I just need to clean it up and maybe it's gonna be fine. But this is my Maranta Cretoviana variegata, and it just does not look great, which is a bummer to me because back actually in my spring updates video and over the springtime, I did a makeover for this plant and I made it look really, really, really pretty. It was full, it was bushy, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just because it doesn't like where it's at. Maybe it's too close to the window, although it usually is like filtered light through this kind of sheer-ish curtain, or maybe I just haven't been watering it enough, or maybe it's just what it does and I need to keep up with it better. Yeah, it just looks scraggly. It has a bunch of dead leaves, which it is a Maranta, and I feel like leaves die in Maranta a lot more quickly than they do with a lot of other plants. I do need to go through, trim all these dead leaves, trim the yellowing leaves off. There are still some leaves that are beautiful, like right here. And it still puts off some growth, which is nice. But a lot of it, I think, is bleached, if I'm being honest. Like, looking at it, I think it needs less light than what I've been giving it, which is a bummer. Like, look, there are some very pretty leaves, I will say. I think just the shape of it isn't looking great, and there's enough dead leaves and yellower leaves to detract from its beauty that I'm a little bit discouraged about it. But you know what? I'm just gonna have to set aside some time to address a few of the plants that are like this that just need a little bit more pampering. And yeah, maybe I do need to move it to a different spot that gets slightly less light, because I think originally I had this and not enough light, and I put it here and it did well for a while. Maybe it just was too much here, and because this is a south-facing window, I thought it would be okay because of the sheer curtain that's kind of covering most of it, but maybe it was just a little bit too much. So I'm gonna try to find the sweet spot, because my other Marantas really don't need a whole lot of light, but my reasoning was like, oh, well, it's variegated, so maybe it needs a little bit more to compensate for that, but I've learned my lesson. Okay, is there anything happening with this one? No. I guess I'll just show you. I'm not gonna talk about it a whole lot because I'm realizing I'm talking probably way too much about each plant at this point. But this is my Philodendron White Princess. The pink has some browning here, which is a bummer, but like, that happens. But there is some new growth that honestly looks quite beautiful. Like, look at this leaf. Is that not really pretty? It has a new leaf coming up here. There's some new growth down here. Like, all the new growth just looks so shiny and fresh. Overall, it's doing pretty well, I think. And then really quickly, up here's my Hoya chicken farm, which needs a water, but I just missed it. It bloomed for me again, which is so fun. But the blooms on this guy do not last long at all. They last maybe one day and then they're gone. Whereas some of my other Hoya will hold on to their blooms for at least a couple of days. But yeah, this one, it's like immediately gone, but it does need a water. It's a little bit wrinkly. So I'll water that maybe tonight after I film this video. I'm gonna switch to holding the camera because I feel like it'll be easier over here. But this, I just wanted to show you again. So I featured this in my favorites last month for July. It's my Epipremnum pinnatum alba variegata. And I feel like I did not give it complete justice in that video. It was kind of hard to show the whole thing on camera, so I just wanted to show you again, just like this. Like, just, ugh, I love how it looks in this corner. Oh yeah, this is my Philodendron Mame, and it has a new leaf coming in right there, which if you remember, I did chop this plant up recently. It used to have like, I don't know, 10 leaves in one plant, but it got too full for the planter and I couldn't find a planter longer than this one. So yeah, I just had to chop it up because these guys are crawlers. Sometimes you just have to start them over. Oh, here's another ugly one. My philodendron Dark Lord has outgrown its pole and it's growing, which is good. This leaf down here, it's not the most recent leaf actually, which is kind of funny. It just was a bit of a dud and then this leaf came out of it. So it's looking a little bit funny, but you know, that's my fault. I have not kept up with really the pole. I need to extend it. But yeah, man, this plant has not been really a priority for me. Let's see, is there anything fun happening in this corner? Honestly, my painted lady has a new leaf, which is very nice. I need to add some more moss. I swear, sometimes these plants just get so ahead of me. I feel like I extended this and gave it moss only a couple weeks ago, but maybe it was a month, I don't know. But it at least is growing decently well, which is good. But I think I'm eventually gonna have to try to do like a chop and extend with this because I don't really want this plant to get much taller, at least with the way that the leaves are right now. It's just taking a long time for these leaves to size up, which again, I think is definitely my fault. Up here is my String of Hearts Silver Glory. And honestly, I feel like it has quite a bit of new growth, especially like right down here. I chopped it relatively recently and it was like up here when I chopped it. So it kind of unexpectedly shot off so much new growth. I'm gonna need to chop it again pretty soon here and, you know, pot it back into the pot. And I see some root growth here, which is fantastic. I love to see that. So yeah, overall, I think this plant's pretty happy. Hi. Oh, ow, dude. Why are you doing that? He's being feisty. Oh my goodness. Goodness. Chill out, sir. Ow. Oh, he's acting so funny. What's your deal? Okay, I have to say, my Ripsalis paradoxa is growing like absolute madness. This is a west-facing window. And if I'm being honest, I don't really water this plant all that much. I definitely neglect it a little bit, but I swear when I got this plant, it maybe was to here in growth. It was just barely trailing. And now, I mean, look at all of this fresh growth. I know it's kind of backlit, so it's hard to see. I'm trying to do it justice. But oh my gosh, it's so, so beautiful. I love it. I suspect that this is gonna end up on my favorites for August, but we'll see. Okay, I do intend to circle back around to my bedroom, but I think I'm gonna film here and downstairs first, and then I'll come back up after dark once the kids are in bed, because the grow lights are in there and they can kind of give a little bit more light. But for now, I do wanna show you my Thai constellation right here. It does have some browning that I'm gonna try to trim away if I can, see if I can get away with that. But right here, look at this new leaf. So this leaf came out maybe 2 weeks ago and it has just hardened off, but it's brand new and I'm very happy about it. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 active leaves on this plant, and it's taken a long time to get here. It's a very slow grower. Honestly, I'm quite happy with my Thai constellation so far. And I did not really talk about my Monstera albo because it hasn't had any new growth yet. That was back in the other room, but that's also very beautiful. But this one is the one that has given me growth recently, so I wanted to feature it. And up here, honestly, is there anything really new? I feel like my Hoya Crimson Queen has just grown consistently this summer, which is really nice, but I don't see any like current new growth really. My staghorn fern has been drying out so fast. Like I need to water this thing every 2 days or it starts losing these little fronds and it's been browning on me. But right now it looks good because I just watered it and it has a little bit of new growth going on right here and right here. So like that's good. But tell me, what do you do? Like, if your staghorn fern outgrows this, do you just like move it to a new mount or something? Because like, I guess that's what you have to do is move it to a bigger mount. I honestly have no idea what to do with this once it kind of outgrows this. Because I feel like since it's drying out so quickly, maybe that's what's wrong, is that the root system is like mostly in the moss and there's just nothing left. I don't know, that's just my guess, but my Philodendron brantianum. I'm so out of breath. So, okay, from certain angles, I like the way that this philodendron brantianum looks like when it's watered and when it's kind of cascading. Like, it looks kind of cool, right? Kind of. Like, I like the presentation of all of them together, but if you look closely, it's not pretty, and it hasn't been pretty in a very long time. Like, look at all this scraggly growth. It is so ick. Oh my gosh, look at how small these leaves are. And listen, I have tried growing it up a pole. It did not like that. I have tried growing it in higher humidity. It did not like that. So I've kept it here because I like the way that it looks here, kind of, but maybe I will replace this sometime soon with a different trailing plant that I like more, because right this second I like it, but most of the time I don't. So I don't know.
Wow.
Oh, can you tell me about it? Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, it was way big.
The plant is so big?
It was so big with that, and it started to grow.
Can you tell me what you like about the plant?
And it goes way big.
It grows really, really big?
Yes.
Do you see any other plants over there that you can talk about?
Yes, I can.
Tell me about this plant.
And it goes so long, and it's so far now.
Does it have a flower?
Yes, on it right there. So talk about it later.
You're going to talk about it later.
That's it.
That's it. All right, you ready for bed? Can you say goodnight?
Good night. Hey, bye.
Say it a little bit quieter.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. All right, can I see the mic? Thank you. Okay, the lighting over here is honestly so atrocious because it's evening time, but we're doing our best. Okay, that was actually really cute. Bye-bye. My daughter is about to go to bed, but she saw me filming and wanted to come do what I was doing, which is so cute. Like, she has seen me film before, so it's honestly so funny, like, to see her imitate me and talk about the plants and engage with that. That was so funny. All right, I'm gonna start over here with my Hoya. I think it might be easier for me to just like take the camera and carry it around. This is my Hoya Fichii, and it's been growing pretty well, but the most exciting thing is that now it has a little peduncle. Let's see if it will focus. It's so small that it does not want to focus at all. Come on. And the lighting's atrocious, but you'll have to trust me. That is indeed a little peduncle. It's the first peduncle that this Hoya has put out. And actually, if I'm being honest, I feel like a lot of my Hoyas have been trying to put out peduncles. Not all of them have been successfully blooming, but a lot of them have at least have peduncles. This is a new leaf on my Hoya Australis Lisa, and more new growth up here. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's very pink. Over here, of course, my Hoya Lacuniose Silver always is in bloom, pretty much, virtually at all times, and always has lots of peduncles. There's not as many right now as there were like at the beginning of the summer, but still pretty consistent. It's a very good grower. Love it. All right, this right here is my Hoya elliptica, and I hope that the lighting is doing it justice. I know it's not, but first of all, this is a new leaf that it gave me that I think is really, really pretty. And second of all, it does have a peduncle here, if it will focus on it. I mean, that's actively almost about to bloom. And then there's another one down here. So it's got two at the same time. Come on, focus on that. Yep. So yeah, it's got two peduncles right now, which is really fun. I just hope that it actually successfully blooms for me, because I have gotten a lot of blasted blooms with this plant. But I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, one of these days it will actually give me a proper bloom. Okay, this one I'm so excited about. This is my Hoya Polyneura, and look, it is giving me its first bloom, and it's honestly so close. The lighting is not doing me any favors, but it's so close to opening up. Look at that. Those are so juicy and ready to go. This one little flower is like almost open, but not quite. This one earlier kind of got disturbed and died, but the rest of them, look at how juicy that looks. Oh, I'm so excited for that. It's gonna be so, so, so pretty. But yeah, this plant's growing like a champ. Although I will say, hang on, I do have some sorrowful news. Speaking of Hoya Polyneura, I wasn't really sure when I was gonna be able to talk about this. My Hoya Polyneura alba marginata is not with us anymore, and I'm devastated. I don't even know what happened. It was growing, it looked totally fine, and then all of a sudden it felt like overnight its leaves started yellowing, and then it just like dissolved within a few days, and there was nothing I could do about it. And I am extremely sad because that was one of my favorite Hoyas, and it was a gift from a friend, and oh, they're expensive to replace. So eventually I will get another one. I intend to, but I was extremely disappointed, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore because I'm really sad about it. And I don't even know what happened, but it happens. But at least my normal Polynera is still good. And then, yeah, I don't think there's anything special happening with these ones, although I need to water this plant. I think it needs a repot because it needs to be watered so frequently. This is my Hoya compacta variegata. All right, this corner is fine, but I feel like it's a little bit messy right now. I just watered this plant today. It's my Syndapsis Pictus Silvery Ann. And look at how long these vines are getting. But like the leaves are really small. So it's like a little bit on the gangly side, which I don't know. I probably just need to trim it. And yeah, I did water it today, but it looks a little thirsty because, you know, it hasn't totally absorbed the water yet. Down here, I love this Monstera so much, but my daughter has knocked it over a few times recently. It got a little bit crazy and was leaning all over the place and just was so not what it used to be. So I did add some bamboo poles and twine to kind of lift it up back into place, but it like doesn't look the way that it used to, and I'm not used to it yet, so it just looks wrong to me. But hopefully it will kind of go back to normal sooner rather than later. Over here is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and it is hitting the ceiling. I really need to trim this guy. And down here, it is getting really barren. You know, the old leaves have fallen off, and it looks great up here, but it's just awkward down there. So what I need to do is chop it and propagate it and then pot it back into the pot, which I have done once before, but my toddler son ripped the propagations out of the pot and they did not survive. So we're gonna try it again, and hopefully with my son being maybe like a little bit older than he was before, maybe he'll show some more restraint. Over here, as always, my wonderful Maranta. This one's like the red Maranta, or Erythronura, I think it is. This one just looks so pretty, and I feel like I always need to point it out because I am always amazed at how well it does with so little care. And I think the trick is that it's in a ceramic pot. Other than that, I don't really know what to tell you. It just likes me. We've gone through a few different phases where it didn't like me as much, but I don't know. We've gotten to know each other and we cooperate, at least for now, because sometimes plants are finicky and change their minds. But it does have some new growth happening, which it pretty much always has at least one new leaf coming in at any given point. But this one at least is still doing well. Up here, this is a mystery plant. I haven't shown you guys this plant yet, mostly because, okay, so here's a story. This is beautiful, right? It's an anthurium. I got it maybe a couple months ago on impulse from a plant shop that was like brand new. This was labeled as an Anthurium pallidiflorum, although when I saw it, I kind of had my doubts because it was $30, which is unheard of for a pallidiflorum of this size. So I already kind of was thinking to myself, this is probably a vitarifolium. But even I myself, like, I get them mixed up. I have never actually seen a pallidiflorum in person before, so I was like, I don't know. And I do already own an Anthurium vitarifolium, but it's much smaller than this plant. And so I wasn't really sure what they're supposed to look like mature and all that. I am pretty convinced this is supposed to be a vitarifolium and not a pallidiflorum. But I was like, thinking to myself, okay, worst case scenario, like it is mis-ID'd, but like I'll get it and I'll be supporting a brand new plant shop that just opened. It's a local business, a small business, and I don't think that it was like mislabeled on purpose. So I went ahead and got it because I was like, worst case scenario, I can pot it up with my vitarifolium and I'll have just like a really big full vitarifolium, which I think is the case, but I haven't talked about it yet and I haven't potted them together because, like, you know, I didn't really have a good time to talk about it, I feel like. But here's an update video, so it's a good time to talk about it. Although I will say, this has been growing incredibly well. I stuck it up here as just like a temporary place to put it because this gets like virtually hardly any light at all. But I am actually in complete shock at how much this is growing in that little cubby right there. There is a new leaf right here and a new leaf right here. It gave me a bloom, which then died off. And there's more new growth coming in down here. I don't know how you can see that, but it's coming in and I'm just like, and it gave me a couple other new leaves besides. So, I mean, for $30, it is a beautiful plant. It's huge, it's an anthurium, and yeah, I'll just pot it up with my other one and make one giant Anthurium vitarifolium. It's not a big deal. Although I would like to find a better spot for it. I'm just shocked at how well it's done just in like a super ordinary random spot in my house. That's really, I just put it there because I was like, I don't have anywhere else to put this right now. But yeah, it's happy, and so I'm happy. I still would like to get an actual Anthurium pallidiflorum someday soon, but yeah, it might just kind of have to wait for a little while. I don't really have the money to be spending on expensive plants right now. My husband is making some ramen. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, the only thing I really want to show you in this disaster of a kitchen right now is up here. This is my pearls and jade pothos. This is so real. This is my pearls and jade pothos. And it's doing shockingly well. That's all I really have to say. I feel like I neglect this thing so much, and it didn't grow for like 2 years in a different spot where I had it, but now it's growing up there. I don't know why, but like it's looking really nice. That's all I have to say. All right, my husband's playing Baldur's Gate 3. And also it's getting so dark in here, my goodness. So it's gonna be a little bit hard to update you on the plants that are in this room. But very, very quickly, we're gonna go over this. Let's see, let's start with my Syngonium albo. Is anything fun happening with this plant? I mean, it's really pretty. It's got a new leaf coming in right there. And yeah, overall, I'm very happy with how it's growing right here. It seems to like it. That's a west-facing window. My fern leaf cactus, I feel like is just perpetually growing all the time. It's going crazy. It's massive. I love it. Okay, you're gonna barely be able to see any of this, but like, all right, this is ridiculous. It's so backlit. But do you see that? This is my Tradescantia chrysophylla, and it's so long right now. I need to trim it, but it's very pretty. And I know you can't really see it because wow, it's getting dark. So dark as we speak. But oh my gosh, the leaves are so fuzzy. And this plant has been through a lot, but it has stuck with me through a lot, which is great. I'm gonna say, I don't think there's anything new happening with these plants. Other than, there's some new growth with my Alocasia black velvet, particularly this root system looks great. Do you see that little corm in there? That's so cool to get to see. And then right up here is a new leaf coming in. So I think it is a fan of this spot. I put this plant here pretty recently. And then this corner, I got rid of some plants. So there's not nearly as many plants here as there normally would be. But as the summer comes to a close, I have some plants outside that I will probably transition inside. Well, I will transition them inside, and maybe I'll put 1 or 2 of them here. But I have a new leaf on my Philodendron Florida Ghost, which is really nice. But other than that, like nothing much has been happening with this plant. I'm gonna need to propagate it again and maybe add it to the bottom of the pot to make it more bushy rather than really gangly. This Begonia maculata whitey eye is doing fine, but not as well as I would like it to be. I apologize, I know that it's kind of dark, but alas, the sun is pretty much set, so this is what we're working with right now. But yeah, it's fine, but it's not doing as well as I would like it to, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm thinking about moving this to a different spot where maybe it will get more light or more humidity. And then right here, ugh, that lighting is so bad. But I did want to say, my Calathea or Gapertia Makoyana was doing very poorly for a large part of the summer. Like all the leaves were just floppy and doing like the leaf curl action and was not happy. And I was watering it consistently. I wasn't doing anything really different with it. It just, and this has happened before as a side note. Like I have seen this plant go through a period where it just does not like me for some reason. It's throwing a tantrum. I did unpot it and kind of just refresh the soil while keeping it in the same size pot. And then about 2 weeks later, it just bounced back. And it's happy again now. It has not started growing for me yet. It hasn't given me a new leaf in maybe a month, which is unusual for this plant, but I'm hoping that now that it's bounced back, it will continue that trajectory. Don't you just love that? I made a mess. I don't know how to transition out of that. Let's talk about the plants in my bedroom. And let's start with this Anthurium magnificum. It looks like it has a new leaf that is trying to emerge right here. You see that? Maybe, yeah. It's exciting and good. But really what I want to point out to you is these roots. I mean, these roots are truly unbelievable and insane. And, you know, the plant, like the foliage is like fine, but the roots, I mean, this is crazy. The roots at the bottom, I will say, aren't looking wonderful. Like, you know, it looks like some of them are rotting a little bit, perhaps. So I've been holding off on watering this because I don't want it to rot. I'm not gonna show you this plant because this is a plant that I dropped out of principle. I'm just not gonna show it to you. It has one yellow leaf and no new leaves, but it looks stable. So truly the grand star of my collection these days, at least one of them, has to be my philodendron atabapoense because girl is kind of looking like a spiritus sancti these days, not gonna lie. And like, I know they're comparable, but they're not exactly the same. I'm aware, but like, look at this newest leaf. Do you see the shape? Do you see how long it is? Like, this thing is doing so well. It's beautiful. I love it. It grows perfectly. It loves the spot. There's so many roots in this pole. It's kind of insane. And it has a new leaf coming in right there. So like, we're on top of the world right now. I just need to remember to extend the moss pole. So hold me accountable. Over here is my philodendron ring of fire. I mean, it's just looking pretty solid. And this is its newest leaf right here. But it's put out a number of leaves this summer. I wanna say it's been at least 4. And it also has some pretty rad roots going on. Like this root is a new one right here. Do you see that? And some of these roots are like a little bit older, but a lot of them are still pretty fresh and look really nice. So yes, I like this plant a lot. It's doing really well. It loves this spot. Over here is my philodendron verrucosum, which for the most part is doing pretty well, but I think it needs to be repotted. But it's got some like new leaves happening throughout because it does have multiple vines going up the pole. So yeah, I mean, the leaves aren't sizing up super dramatically right now, but like it's mostly healthy with the exception of, I spotted this today. It looks bacterial maybe because of like the halos. I am praying that it's not thrips, but like, you know, something is going on that's like a little bit fishy with some of the leaves. I've never actually had thrips before, so let me know if you're like, that is thrip damage. But yeah, anytime I see like any sort of damage like this, I'm like, I don't like that at all. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I cannot deal with a pest like that right now. So I'm not wishing that on myself. No, thank you. Over here, Alocasia macrorhiza. Speaking of pests though, I will say, remember how I like had a really bad mealybug outbreak and it was mainly on this plant and some other plants? All right, I just looked over it to double check. This is very good. It's mealybug free. I have not seen a single mealybug on this plant in several weeks, which makes me very happy because I like this plant. It's very beautiful, but yeah, for a while there, it just had so many mealybugs, which was stupid. Down here is my Anthurium crystallinum. And you know, girlfriend is struggling a little bit. I moved it out of the greenhouse cabinet kind of at the beginning of the summer-ish. And if we're being honest, it keeps trying to put out new leaves and then they're dying. See this? Like, that's not good news. So like good that it's trying to put out new growth, but like not good that homegirl is not succeeding. So I have a few options. I could put it back in the cabinet and just resign myself to my fate that like this plant does not like the low humidity, or I can just be stubborn and keep going and maybe try to troubleshoot and do some other things to pamper this plant, maybe make her more content. Although I will say, would you look at that little mushroom? Hi, buddy. You're cute. Okay, anyway. All right, Philodendron gigas has continued to absolutely kill it in terms of leaf size. Like, okay, this leaf, big. This leaf, unexpectedly also big. This leaf, maybe not quite as big, but still big. This leaf is the newest leaf, and it's big. So congratulations, Philodendron gigas. You're doing very well. I'm gonna need to chop it soon though, so pray for me. I'll try to do like the chop and extend method so that I can try to preserve as much of this plant as possible. But if I'm being honest, that method really freaks me out because, like, I don't know. I know in theory it's supposed to work, but I have not always been consistent with watering these poles. And so I just don't know what the root system is realistically like. We're gonna have to see how that goes. But for now, I can just enjoy this plant and be happy with the fact that it is pretty right now. And hopefully it stays that way. Over here, okay, Alocasia dragon scale, girl. So also, as far as mealybugs go, they're all gone on the rest of my plants, except for this gal. This gal is a breeding ground for these dang mealies. It's the first time I have ever had a pest problem on my dragon scale, but it is as if all of the mealybugs ran away from these little plants, you know, and then they were like, okay, let's just join this gal. Like, let's just like make this our nest and have a party here. But they're not welcome to this party, okay? Like, I do not want them here. So I keep on like waking up in the morning and seeing these little tiny mealybugs. Like, they're not big, they're very small, just like, you know, having a little bonfire just right on these leaves. Also, this leaf I need to chop off. But other than the mealybugs being where I don't want them to be, and by the way, I like treat this pretty much every single day. I like wipe it all down and they're gone. Hence why they're not getting fat and big, but like, I don't see like root mealies in here. I just see roots and the roots look really good. So that's kind of fun. Over here, I don't know. I mean, these plants are just kind of doing like the same as they normally do. Although, let's see, let me, oh, okay. What are you doing? Okay, this is a mystery to, oh, what? Excuse me, sir, what? What? What?
Lipstick and my Valentino white.
What has been happening behind my back? What? Well, that's new. Okay, well, we are pulling you out. Okay, this is my Hoya pubicalyx. Where am I putting you? I'm just gonna, okay. So apparently between the time that I like last watered this pubicalyx, okay, no, I'm lying. I did water this in place the last time I water it. But the last time I like took this away from the spot and watered it, some things happened, apparently. Apparently this vine just like perished and doesn't want to live anymore. So we'll just have to cut that off. And this vine is a new offshoot. All of these are brand new leaves that I have not seen. This is new growth. And are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's a mealybug on there, or at least mealy residue. So we're gonna be treating this plant for mealies, because of course, the mealies just decided to move along and hide behind my cabinet. Okay, yeah, this vine, I think you just saw what happened. It just grew behind the cabinet. And there is a window there that's north facing, so it's not like it didn't have any light. But I had no idea that it did that. Just really in the span of a couple of weeks there. But then the mealies, which I have not seen anywhere except for the Alocasia dragon scale, decided to target my poor Hoya pubicalyx. And they're being clever too. Like, they're not even, are they anywhere else on here? I don't see them anywhere else on this entire plant. But there was like a little bit of mealybug residue right there. So we're gonna treat this plant and it's fine. But that's good news though. It's kind of funny that it just grew under my nose and I had no idea. And I love this splash. Like, look at how pink it is. Isn't that cute? It's great. right, I just pulled this plant down, my philodendron mayoi, but it needs to be watered pretty badly. But like, even despite that fact, I mean, I just wanted to point out this thing has grown so far past its box. I need to chop it up. I need to do something. Originally, if you recall, I was thinking about like putting it up a moss pole, just, you know, at the end of pot and just like keep it going. But at this point, if I were to add a moss pole, this has grown so much it would already be beyond the moss pole. And I just don't want to do that. And you know, if you're a person who's like me and sometimes you neglect to act in time when it comes to your plants, like adding them on a pole, you know, maybe you miss a watering or miss treating for pests, or like, you know, not for everything all of the time. Like, we're not a home of constant neglect out here, but occasional neglect or procrastinating or putting things off, or like maybe you just get really busy, which is what happens to me most of the time, and then you don't get around to it, and then at a certain point you're just like, okay, we're gonna move on from that dream of wanting that to happen and we're gonna do something else. Yeah, if you're like me in that way, be comforted that you're not alone, that this happens. It still kind of looks cool, but yeah, I'm probably gonna end up chopping this part up at least, and I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with the rest of this. This plant grows really, really fast. So if you're looking for a really fast grower, philodendron mayoi is your man. But if you're not like me, and if you always keep up with all of your plants perfectly all of the time, all right, we're gonna move on to inside the cabinet, and we're gonna try to be hopefully quicker. Don't mind the noisy fan, I apologize, but it's a hassle to turn off. And okay, right off the bat, we have my Monstera adansonii that is variegated. I love it so much. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, I took a propagation for a friend, and I was a little bit worried that it was going to activate like a growth point and stop the variegation that we had going on down here, which was pretty consistently like half moons. My concern was warranted because unfortunately the last several leaves, like 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, the last 4 leaves have been white, which is not great, but they are doing shockingly well. I will admit, here's the first leaf that came out after the chop. It was very small, which is very normal. It does have a streak of green. I was hoping, okay, well, maybe it will work. Then the next leaf to come out after that is this leaf, which is very big, and it's beautiful, but you know, that's not very sustainable for the plant. But it does also have little bits of green at least. Like, at least it's not pure white. Yeah, this leaf also has, you know, a little bit of green. This is the newest leaf that's coming out. So, you know, I also need to like kind of put it more on the pole, but I haven't committed to that yet because I haven't really decided how I want to deal with this. On the one hand, the leaves themselves like are quite big, and they're beautiful. They're white, so like I want to enjoy them. I'm probably not gonna like prematurely cut them off necessarily, but long term, this is not gonna do it. Like, that's not gonna cut it unless somehow it just magically starts putting off green, which I highly doubt will happen. So I would like your advice. Has this happened to you before? What do you think I should do? What I'm thinking is I can like chop it. I could chop the entire plant up and hope that at least one of them comes out with a growth point that has like the split leaves that I want, or at least like more variegation. But I also am hesitant to like chop up the entire plant because I like the way that it looks. I'm really proud of how well that it's grown. I could also just cut it back to like the last node before this one and hope that it is good. But yeah, you can tell based on the stem, kind of, you can make predictions, and this stem is pretty much almost entirely like cream colored and white, like up here. So like I'm fairly confident that we're never gonna get much more green on these leaves. Over here, it's my Hoya undulata, and we did lose one of the leaves that was on the bottom here, it just died off. I don't know for sure why it died off. It could just because it was like the oldest leaf. But I'm really hoping that this big leaf does not die off because yeah, that would be a little bit sad. We do have this leaf still, and I did put it on a little circle trellis. It looks a little sad at the moment, like it's not very graceful, but we do have a new leaf that started emerging once I put it on the trellis. So I think it likes the support, and I'm glad that I did that. So I'm just here's to hoping that it presses on. Honestly, I'm a little bit freaked out ever since my Hoya polyneura alba marginata perished. I've been so nervous about my Hoya undulata because like if this thing dies, I will be devastated. So crushed because yeah, it's an expensive plant. It was on my #1 wish list plant for a long time. And I haven't had a whole lot of plants die on me spontaneously like that, but there's been a handful, and whenever it happens, it just is so frustrating. But most plants are salvageable. All right, oh, this is exciting. Okay, this is my Alocasia cuprea, and I don't want to talk too much about it because
Spoiler alert.
I think I want this to be in my favorites list for this month, but I just wanted to say this plant really struggled for a long time in my collection, but most recently it has been doing much better. The roots are going crazy down here. I don't know how well you can see that with all the like reflection going on, but like, trust me, take my word for it. It's loving this no drainage situation. It's currently at 4 leaves when previously this barely held on to 1 at one time. This leaf right here is massive and gorgeous. These other leaves have been generally smaller, but still pretty. And I like that they've been like a little bit more compact. This is kind of a random, the petiole is so long on this one. I don't know what the deal was with this. But like, look at this newest leaf. Oh my word, that is delicious. Like you cannot look at that and not say that that just, like it looks edible or it looks slightly creepy, depending on the way that you view it, but like I love it and I'm so happy that it's finally growing really well. As far as bad updates go, my Anthurium clarinervium is totally rotting again, and I'm almost ready to give up on this plant because currently we're at 1 tiny leaf and I can see the roots in here and they're rotted. So I'm gonna need to pull this out and try to reroot it yet again. So you can see, I mean, I'm grateful that I have this glass vessel because I can tell that the roots are just bad. Like it rooted up really quickly in here, but it just has taken a turn and it's just unhappy all of a sudden. For reference, this has happened with this plant multiple times, and I've tried lots of different methods, but like, I'm wondering if I just got like a bad batch of Anthurium clarinervium when I bought it, because I've had a lot of trouble with this. Initially, I did not have trouble like the first year that I had it, but then all of a sudden it just started going way downhill, which I don't completely understand, but like, it's fine. I am halfway tempted to give up on this one and go to my local garden center, which is currently selling these for like $15 for like established plants. So that sounds like kind of a good deal right now, rather than stubbornly trying to hang on to this guy that keeps on rotting on me, and it's done it like 5 times at this point. So maybe I am doing something wrong, maybe I'm not doing something wrong, and maybe it is the plant's fault at this point if it's been so many times. Oh my gosh. All right, at this point, I'm getting really tired. So I'm gonna very quickly look through here and see, like I'm only gonna mention the ones, I swear, that are like actually really significant. Okay, this one is kind of significant. This is my Anthurium villeneorum, and can we just, wow, it's beautiful. I just wanted to point it out because it's beautiful. But this plant, which one's the newest leaf? Is this the newest leaf? I feel like it is. It has an inflow coming in right now, way down here. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but it's put out several new leaves for me. This plant was a total rehab plant when I got it from a friend, because she was like, I don't have the capacity to care for this. Do you want it? And I was like, yes, please. And honestly, yeah, I love it. It's been looking so good in my cabinet. It really likes where it's at. The leaves are beautiful. For reference, most of the leaves came in like completely not good. And like I had to like cut them in half and stuff because like it was all brown down here. But yeah, it's been really loving life lately, which is good with me. I don't think I've actually talked about this plant yet. This is a Hoya Wilbur Graves China. I believe. And I got it off of Facebook Marketplace for like $10 or something like that for like a lightly rooted cutting. So yeah, it's just chilling. And I got it maybe a month ago, I want to say, kind of spontaneously. I think I bought a few plants this summer semi-spontaneously, more than I had kind of the rest of the year. But I feel like I'm probably going to scale back on plant purchasing as we get into the fall and the winter. This I am quite excited for. This is an Anthurium hybrid. It's an Anthurium Doriaki crystallinum crossed with luxurians. And I love this plant. It's so beautiful. But the thing I'm most excited for is down here. Okay, for reference, I got this plant as a tiny seedling, and now this is, I think, the first mature growth that it's giving me, and I suspect that this leaf is going to be very significant. Wow. I think, is it called caterpillar growth on Anthurium as well, where it's like coming from like the middle of the plant rather than from the petioles? I think that's what it's called. But like, to my understanding, that means that it's mature. So like, girl, I've officially brought a seedling to maturity. I've raised my own little baby plant to this level, and I'm just so proud of that and so happy about that. So right here is my stunning Alocasia Frydek. I love it. It's so beautiful. It's still doing pretty well, I would say, for the most part. The only thing, and I think I've mentioned this once before in another video, is that it's variegation. So in the past, it had like some really stark white variegation going on, but more recently with its leaves, it just has not given me that really white variegation. It's been a lot more like pale green. So I don't know if that's just like in the genetics of the plant. I don't know if eventually it will spontaneously give me those like really stark white variegation patterns that it used to have that I love, or I don't really know what's going on, because like it's just more pale green. So you have to let me know if you have any ideas, or like if you have specific experience. I feel like it's kind of a myth that lighting causes variegation. I think that was a misunderstanding, because it's good for variegated plants to maybe get a little bit more light than their non-variegated counterparts, because of the whole chlorophyll situation, where, you know, the more green that a plant has, the more ability it has to absorb the light. So like, I don't think that lighting causes variegation. And if anything, I mean, this has pretty great light being in the cabinet. So I don't think that that's the problem. But I mean, maybe it very well just could be like the genetics of the plant. Like maybe it just kind of like reverted or moved beyond the, you just hit me in the face. It just moved beyond having white leaves. But I don't know if there's anything that can be done. Just let me know if you have any ideas. Although I will say, like, these leaves are pretty massive, which is fantastic. I love it. I think the last thing is that I do have a new leaf on my Anthurium dark forgetii, which is nice because I recently lost a leaf, so at least it's kind of doing like a one leaf out, one leaf in situation. Although, like, this leaf right here has that like halo situation, like it looks like it's a either fungus or some other issue, like, or a bacterial issue, I don't know. I mean, it had it down here as well. So, you know, it's not the best look ever. So I'm gonna hope that I can resolve that with some sort of treatment. I just have to like do some more research into it. But that's another thing where I'm like, yeah, it's like a blemish and doesn't look the best, but I still think that the plant is beautiful. So I don't like care enough. I'm not like bothered enough to like really work at it. So I also very well could need to replace this fan, because I've had the same fan in here for over a year, like a year and a half. I also only have one fan, so in theory I could add another fan in there to have some more airflow, or maybe I should switch some things around in the cabinet, change some positions, because I think that this spot where the forgetii is like a dead spot where like it really does not get as much airflow as the rest of the cabinet, I think. I don't know for sure. That's kind of how I'm feeling with like a lot of my plants right now, is that, you know, I'm still watering them, still loving them, fertilizing them and like taking care of them, but you know, not at the same level as I was maybe a year ago. And I think that that's fine. They have not been like my favorite hobby right now because I've been running a lot. I've been writing and reading a lot. And so it's just been harder to keep up with all of my hobbies and like keep them all sustained. And obviously, as I've mentioned probably a dozen times now, this summer has been busy in general, like hobbies aside. So yeah, it's just been a lot, but I still obviously do love them. And I don't even remember where I was going. I think I was talking about, yeah, like I don't fully know what's going on with all of my plants. And you know, even in terms of engaging with plant content, you know, I have not been like posting on my plant Instagram like virtually at all. And there is a reason for that if you've been wondering why I've been so inactive. My phone camera is broken. And obviously I have like a nice camera that I like to take pictures with, but in the past I would like get all these pictures with my phone camera and post it to stories, like updates of my plants and stuff. But unfortunately, until I get a new phone, I won't be able to do that because literally my lens will not focus on anything. So it's very unfortunate. I've been missing having a camera on my phone quite a lot, and that has limited, you know, the degree of like how much I can really interact on Instagram more organically. I apologize for that, but I hope you understand. Like, I still love this. I still care about this. I still love this channel and having the opportunity to create content like this. I love all my plants, but yeah, life changes and ebbs and flows, and we all kind of go through different seasons depending on what's going on. So yes, that's kind of a very short summary of where I've been at. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, enjoyed looking at my plants, seeing the good, the bad, the ugly, kind of where they're at after a summer of like quasi neglect, not complete neglect, but you know, a few plants have not done as well, but other plants have been doing great. So it is what it is. But yeah, my battery is about to die. So before it dies and I get cut off, I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.